Fans of SpaceX that have been following the development of the company's next-generation rocket are by now used to the first orbital launch milestone being postponed multiple times. However, as SpaceX has revealed, the world's most powerful booster, the Super Heavy, is about to head to space for the first time ever this week. How did SpaceX manage this quick turnaround? In this video, we bring you all the exciting updates as SpaceX is finally launching the Super Heavy to orbit this week. SpaceX is determined to hold on to its lead in the private space industry. After literally coming from behind to overtake more prominent and older players, SpaceX is charging ahead by picking up launch contracts from private and government customers. However, much of the growth of the company is driven by the burning personal ambition of the visionary CEO Elon Musk. While his desire is to make space travel affordable to all and not only the uber-rich, Musk's more serious ambition is to put people that will live there permanently on planet Mars. To achieve this, Musk is overseeing the development of the most powerful rocket ever, the Starship. The Starship is the backbone of the Mars colonization enterprise. It will transport both humans and cargo, lots of it, to the Red Planet. To reduce the cost of operation as much as possible when the trip starts, the Starship is designed in two stages: the upper stage, or ship, or confusingly, Starship, and the lower stage, or Super Heavy. The Super Heavy is hands down the most powerful booster rocket ever built. Despite the tremendous amount of power it produces, the booster is entirely reusable, and a single Super Heavy can be reused multiple times. Musk wants the Super Heavy to be ready for the next launch within 30 minutes of a landing, an unheard of feat in the space industry. But of course, you can trust Musk to boldly proceed where nobody has ever ventured. The Super Heavy is a giant structure competing with many prominent buildings in height. It is 69 meters tall and 9 meters in diameter, with enough space for 3,400 tons of propellant. It has a gross liftoff mass of over 3 million kilograms, generating tremendous thrust from the Raptor engines designed in-house. The Super Heavy can land on its retractable 6 legs after decoupling from the upper stage and returning to Earth. However, Musk has engineered a more dramatic landing for the Super Heavy. It will be caught mid-air by a pair of arms attached to the launch tower. Even Musk acknowledges the risk, at least until the system is perfected, but that is not going to stop him. While fans can't wait to see the Super Heavy take to orbit, other groups are anxiously waiting on the Super Heavy as well. The US Army, for instance, is interested in using it to move heavy cargo fast from one place to another on the planet. SpaceX too is looking at using the Starship to provide rapid transport for travelers on Earth. Musk has also demonstrated the immense potential contribution of the Starship to space research. He explained how the Starship launched by the Super Heavy can transport heavy-duty equipment the scientists can use to explore and investigate other planets. Up to this point, all the testing done in the development of the Starship has been suborbital. However, due to its complex design, the Starship must be put through stringent testing before gaining approval. The SpaceX crew has been working around the clock in Boca Chica, Texas, where the company has extensive facilities to get the Super Heavy ready for this historic launch. SpaceX has been installing the new Raptor engines on the Booster 7 prototype of the Super Heavy, but that was after some necessary repairs were completed on the booster. SpaceX then began the process of verifying that the booster was back to speed. This was promptly followed by filling the tanks to the brim with at least 3,000 tons or 6.5 million pounds of liquid nitrogen and oxygen in what is known as a cryogenic proof test. Less than 48 hours after completing its first post-repair test, Booster 7 nailed another full cryoproof test. Days later, SpaceX attached a crane to Super Heavy B7 and removed it from the orbital launch mount before rolling the rocket back to Starbase's build site. Just what went on in here was not disclosed by Musk on his favorite communication channel, Twitter. But what was exciting to many fans was the installation of the more powerful version 2 Raptor rocket engines. The Booster 7 has room for 33 Raptor engines, producing about 7,600 metric tons of thrust when all firing together. Not long after that, Teslarati reported SpaceX was rapidly working towards a static fire campaign that would qualify the booster for flight. This is a crucial step because it determines whether it is fit for flight or not. Musk added to the excitement by confirming on Twitter that SpaceX had all the Raptor 2 engines needed for the first orbital flight. Prior to this, SpaceX was spotted moving in lots of Raptor engines. However, SpaceX is taking its time as it simultaneously encased Booster 7's Raptors and engine section in shrouds that will protect them during static fire testing. These shields will also protect them during launch, re-entry, and landing if this particular booster makes it that far. Around the same time, SpaceX began installing grid fins on Booster 7. However, SpaceX was also working on the orbital launch site. It has been refilling the massive tank farms that store, subcools, and distribute thousands of tons of liquid oxygen, liquid methane, liquid nitrogen, and a few other gases. This step is important for a full wet dress rehearsal, which has also never been done with Super Heavy. The process would need to fill the booster with around 3,400 tons of propellant. It was after this that SpaceX installed Booster 7 on the orbital launch mount with the help of the giant robot arms on the launch tower. That would mark the third time Booster 7 was going onto the mound, the first time being in March before it completed 2 cryo-proof tests. The second time was in May when it returned from a repair. By this time, SpaceX had finished the aero covers, chines or strakes, the car-sized grid fins, Starlink internet dishes, and most crucially, all the 33 upgraded Raptor V2 engines. This means Booster 7 should be able to produce about 41% more thrust than Booster 4 was theoretically capable of. SpaceX also finished installing Booster 7's Raptor heat shield in the same period. This is significant because SpaceX completed in 6 weeks work that took Booster 4 more like half a year. But of course, testing the Booster 4 didn't get as much priority as Booster 7. Musk did explain that the static fire test campaign will start off with just a few of the Raptor engines being fired. In reality, SpaceX has never fired more than 6 Raptor engines at a time, and it has never fired more than 3 Raptors on a booster. The arms performed as expected, lifting the booster onto the mount before it was secured by the mount's 20 hold-down clamps. These arms are complex, but they are not sensitive to the wind, a problem if SpaceX were to use cranes in the open Texas fields. Meanwhile, Booster 7 would have to be taken off the mount again after an incident involving an unexpected explosion and fireball. Musk revealed the damage was minor, but still a trip to the factory was necessary. What happened was, during what may have been a partial wet dress rehearsal, a dispersed cloud of methane gas found an accidental ignition source and exploded with a force that at least one observer estimated was equivalent to several pounds of TNT. The drama stretched over hours as SpaceX attempted to empty Super Heavy Booster 7 of its propellant to prevent more explosions. It was also scrambling to avoid stoking a fire at the pad. Musk said Booster 7 would return to the launch mount within a week. Most likely, SpaceX will be able to repair the Raptor engines with minor damage and reuse them on a future booster. On the bright side, pun intended, the explosion may give SpaceX invaluable data that can be used to improve the durability and performance of Raptor and Super Heavy's heat shield. But the truth is that a systematic inspection of Booster 7's aft end could easily take a week or two. In the worst-case scenario, if more chronic damage is discovered, or the whole aft heat shield or a large number of Raptors need to be removed and replaced, the break could grow to a month or more. There are 2 ways to look at this, or 2 possible outcomes. If the Super Heavy returns quickly, it means the prototype is mostly in great shape after such a violent anomaly. That would bode well for the rocket's durability during future ground and flight testing. If the opposite is the case, then it's time for SpaceX to seriously reconsider whether Booster 7 is fit to support Starship's orbital launch debut, or even proceed into static fire testing. Whatever the outcome with Booster 7, SpaceX has recently finished stacking Booster 8. If it is given priority, this new prototype could take over from Booster 7 in a matter of weeks, or it could even join a repaired Booster 7 at the launch pad for basic proof testing while its predecessor attempts to restart its first static fire campaign. Let's hear what you think of the Super Heavy booster in the comments section below.